Hey everybody, this is Captain Frugal reporting for duty, giving you my weekly comic book review. So sit back and enjoy. Alright everybody, for those of you that know the drill, I go over a bunch of comic books for the week that I chose to read. Now I didn't have time to read everything, so if I missed something you think I should have read, let me know in the comments below. Also, you may disagree with me on some of my choices. If that's the case, that's alright. Let me know below. Let's just try to keep it civil. My goal is to bring back the old schoolyard days, where we would be in discussing what hero could beat who or what comic book was good and not. And I come armed with my trusty notes, so you'll hear the paper rattle because I do it a little bit old school. I do my grading on a scale of 0 through 10, 7 being average as a 70%. So I'm using schoolyard grading. But that's not all. I also use the League of Comics Geeks to give you other people's views as well as a brief overview of the comic book as well. So let's jump right in. Hey friends, this is Captain Frugal reporting for duty. Hey, thanks everybody. I want to say thank you again for joining for another video. Make sure that you, if you don't mind, leave your thoughts on these books or other books too. Let's get that, that good old comic book atmosphere being in that comic book shop. So the first book I want to talk about is Batman and Robin number 19, which had a very positive rating, mostly positive, with 3.7 out of 167 ratings. I gave the book a strong 8 as well. The writers Philip Kennedy Johnson and artist Xavier Fernandez, which I might have actually said that right. I think this is a solid issue, really. Good story progression, good art, good pacing. I think it's interesting more dynamics into Damian Wayne as well. Batman really bugs Damian. And I think he really does do a lot to destroy Damian's trust in this issue. This book has some really interesting alternate covers, as well as the main cover I thought was pretty good. But you know what? Let's check out a couple other people's thoughts on this book. League of Comics Geeks, first one I see is First Thoughts. PKJ, you're a horrible, horrible person. You get Bruce and Damian so much. You get Bruce and Damian so much hurts. This is actually a very positive 4.5-star review. They love the issue, and that's what they mean. Another one says, DC spoiling us with 2 different Batman and Robin books about Batman's journey as a father, and they're liking this one with 4 stars as well. Let's find one that's not as high. Here we go. Here's a 2.5 stars. The writer gets the characters. No, not really. This is the epitome, I can't speak today, of what's wrong with the mischaracterization and the convenience of making characters forget their development just for the sake of their plot. What you're seeing is Bruce de-evolving into a selfish man just for the angst and making his relationship with Damian the focus of the story. Bruce is relearning. I have to hit read more here. He's relearning how to deal with mental issues for the 9th time. Yeah, he is dealing with the issues of the chemicals that he was doused with, like how we've seen countless times, and that's true, we have. And sadly, this run will be taken into account if Damian indeed goes solo. Oh well. Okay. So there we go. We have some positive and negative views on that. What is your views on this book? I would like to know. I really enjoy sharing the other views here. The next book I want to talk about, we're going to take a bite into, if you will, is none other than DC vs. Vampires World War V, issue number 7. That's a lot of numbers in the title. It gets a 4.3 out of 79 ratings with a very positive score, and I gave the book a 7.4. Writers Joey Episodio, it's Episodio, sorry dude. Writers Matthew Wazenberg as well, and artist Otto Schmidt and Pascal Qualeno. Once again, I don't butcher these names as an insult. I just butcher names. Well, anyway, the child of Mr. Miracle and Big Barda have been heralded as the only one capable of ending the war between the vampires and the humans. Boy, do we have a mess of this one, as Darkseid comes down and is tearing up both the vampires and the humans. The art in this issue, though, can be a bit messy, and I found that some of the panels were a little hard to follow and understand, though I do find this to be an interesting story. Darkseid, good old daddy, is here to find his grandson, and he is not messing around as the war rages on. in this action-filled bloody issue. If you like action-filled bloody issues, you're going to get it here. Also, this book has some interesting alternate covers, but let's see what some other people have to say, shall we? Here is one that's a 4-star review. It says, this series never stops being fun and interesting to me. It's such a great way to see and play with and show the whole DC. The whole of DC and their respective sides in this vampire world. Such an amazing design for Ollie. One of the greatest, and are you kidding me? A team led by Green Arrow, accompanied by Damian Wayne, Mothman, etc. Such a fun series. Let's go to another one maybe that gives it a little less. Here we go. I'm going to find this one here. This one's only 2.5 stars. It says, planning on dropping DC vs. Vampires, and the arrival of Darkseid is a very good time to do that. Modern Darkseid is like modern Thanos. He instantly makes every comic he appears in worse. What do you think of that thought there? That's a pretty stark contrast, if you will. No Iron Man pun intended. Thank you. Thank you very much. The next issue I want to talk about is Green Lantern Corps number 2 with a 3.9 rating, average rating with 207 ratings, mostly positive, meaning that a lot of people still stuck around for issue 2, so they were happy with issue 1. Just a generalization there. I gave the book a 7.4. And getting into more of the details, we have the writer Jeremy Adams and Morgan Hampton and the penciler Fernando Parzian. It says the Lanterns return to Thanagar. Yes, they do. Decimated in the aftermath of the Civil War. And boy, talk about some decimation there. But this time, John Stewart and company are fighting with Hawkwoman by their side. Meanwhile, though, the mystery of the Fractal Lanterns deepens as Atrocitus seeks revenge for the theft of his powers. So why is the answer seemingly within the remains of the shattered Thanagar? Well, boy, I tell you, Thanagar truly is in ruins in this one. And you get some interesting fights like Kilowog versus Sorrow. Decent art in this issue, decent action as well. I think this is a good story so far with good pacing. I like the cover. It's got some strong alternate covers, which seems to be a theme of everything I'm saying this month. But you know what? Let's look at what some other people had to say as well. All right, so the first one I'm going to talk about is a 4-star review. It says, admittedly, I had a lot of fun reading this. The cover's great and one of my faves, but it absolutely nothing to do with the interiors. You know what? And that's true. That's one thing that bugs me. I like the feeling of going into a comic shop. You look at the cover and it gives you insight to what's in that issue. But let's be honest, it's been decades since that's been holding true. Most of the time now, a cover has nothing to do with the inside. The artist is different and just not much of a match. He says the artwork is good, but some of the faces are too uncanny valley for my taste. I tend to agree with there. The faces were a bit of an issue. So I'm trying to get over the fact that Adams is fusing cartoon continuity with main universe continuity. It still nags me. They have a romance cliche in here that made me laugh so much. Saying Zox was great, but I'm not sure if he was main canon. But anyway, IFW with Sorrow, I don't know what that means. As a villain, sorry, not sorry. Maybe they I don't know. One of the best aspects of Adam's Green Lantern stories are the constructs. I think they have a lot of charm. I like the use of the villains here, and the ending was a bit of Silver Age cheese. You know, some cheese sometimes can be good. Let's go down to one that goes a little lower. Let's go to a 3-star review. It says, kind of annoying that it was John that was sent on this mission, just to try to bait us with the DCAU shipping fodder, when Guy has extensive history with the Red Lanterns, and it would have been nice to see them interact again. That's an interesting take, isn't it? Let's see if I can find one. Oh, here we go. Here's a 1-star. My thoughts remain the exact same from last issue. Great to see that the GLC will be stuck like this until the book gets canceled, cause effing A, this sucks. Woohoo! That was a hot take if you ever would hear one, right? Well, as you see there, a little good, a little bad. That shares some of the fun we had. Let's move on to the next issue. Next, let's move to Marvel and talk about Deadpool number 12 with a 4.0 out of 104 ratings, giving it a very positive score on League of Comics Geeks, and I gave the book a 7.3. Not as high as them, but I didn't dislike it, I will say. Interesting covers, by the way. I like the cover on it, and I like the alternate covers. Anyway, when we talk about the creators, the writer is Cody Ziegler, artist is Andrea Di Vito, which I probably butchered. And yes, it says here, though, Spider-Man vs. Deadpool's. Not really. They're working together now. So we get them together. And more of the fun ensues here. Good art, good action, fun story, but I think we should not have to get the next Miles Morales comic to finish it. And that made me angry, and I degraded this issue some for that very issue. Marvel's done that, DC's done that in the past. What that happens is the comic industry, what they do is they take a book and they use it to help boost the sales of another book. So, for example, they'll mix they'll introduce that character, and so people read that character, and from a marketing perspective, it makes sense. So they go, "Oh, that was pretty interesting." But then to finish the story that you've been reading in your series, you have to go and buy that other character's book. And they're hoping that will pull you in. I hate that, because now if I want to know the rest of this story legitimately, I have to go and buy a book of Miles Morales Spider-Man that I don't care to do. And that kind of thing bothers me. I hate it when they do that to drum up sales, which is also usually a sign that sales aren't very good. By the way, another classic thing they used to do a lot in the 90s and early 2000s when a character's book wasn't doing good, they changed their outfit, their uniform. So anyway, let's look at some other people's thoughts here that range higher than mine so we can get another perspective as well. This one says another exciting book from Cody Ziegler and the entire Deadpool creative team. Not only has Pools of Blood been an incredibly exciting crossover, but this book itself is both hilarious, has some genuinely exciting build-up, and Ziegler continues to write some of the best books in Marvel's lineup. For those familiar with the Merc with the Mouth, this book is absolutely going to make you happy with the artwork, the humor, and the story itself as a whole. Ziegler and the entire creative staff have created a genuinely fantastic era. Hop on board, join the Deadpool series, and enjoy this magnificent ride that they are offering us. This is yet another marvelous comic. I see what you did there. We see what you did there. Yeah, marvelous. Ha ha ha. Let's pull up one that has a lower star rating. Now, this one's only a 3. It says neither over nor under, just whelmed. And that's sort of where I felt. I didn't think it was anything fantastic, but it wasn't anything egregiously bad either. It was just, it was okay. And that makes sense. It fits the bell curve of comics. There's going to be, a mix, and usually you're going to find more in the middle. Hey guys, today's video is sponsored by My Wallet. Yeah, I'm not trying to push any kind of wallet or pimp any wallet out. What I mean is it's sponsored by my personal wallet and the cash that comes out of it to pay for these things. If you want to help with this, you can hit like, subscribe, that notification bell. Those are great ways to get started. But if you find yourself in a position where you can help the channel more, we have a Patreon and a subscribe star down below that you can click on those links. And for as little as $1 a month, you'll have special videos and things to just you, music that you can get. Or maybe if you wanted to, a one-time donation just to help out, we have a Streamlabs link down below. Or we also have, if you go to the Patreon shop, you could buy a song for like $3. I wish I could put them a little lower, but that's the minimum they allow for that. So there's lots of options. Sometimes you might even see an Amazon link. If you want to buy anything through Amazon, click on my link first, then go through there. That'll give me a couple pennies, possibly that way too as well. So there's lots of ways you can help out the channel, because without you, it would not be possible. So thank you, everybody. And let's get back to the video. Speaking of opening up a look, let's talk about Transformers number 18 and take a peek inside. By the way, if you haven't recognized the cover, there's a throwback reason for that I suggest checking out, which is a cool cover. There is some, as I've been saying a lot this month, some cool alternate covers as well. This book had a 4.6 rating, exceptional, out of 276 ratings, and I gave the book an 8. I'm agreeing there. This was a good book. Writers Daniel Warren Johnson, artist is George Corona. Well, anyway, I think this book is a lot of action, first of all. So if you're not into action, this isn't for you. But we have more Autobots versus Decepticons more Decepticons there, as they're all battling each other. Transformers are making vans cool again. Yeah, we're going back to the days where vans were cool. If you read this, you'll know what I'm talking about. And will the Decepticons reunite? Because yes, Megatron is back. Will he be able to pull them together and stop the infighting? Only time will tell. A lot of action in this issue, and there's also still heartfelt moments in this. So let's see what other people thought about this book as well besides me. First one I see is a 5-star review, so we'll talk about that. Hope the Autobots managed to evacuate the city, because after that slam dive Devastator just took with Bruticus, I'm pretty sure the city is leveled. If Starscream still had his parts below the waist, he'd probably be crapping himself right now. And I like Starscream, so that's pretty good. The second last shot of Optimus standing there facing the ruins of the city with the glow of the sunrise in front of him feels like a shot from one of the Bay films. It's beautiful. Not a fan of the Bay films, the ones I've seen, but okay, I get it. Let's talk about another one here. This one's a 4 star, so it's going to go down a little bit. Well, it's bound to happen eventually. All of what happened in this issue, sort of culmination of the last 2, I think. The whole attack was pretty much going to happen at some point. Sort of shocked it took this long. The whole return of Megatron was teased for a few issues. Definitely a step up from the last few issues. Feels fast paced, but maybe, and then it goes down there. We'll stop there. So far, so good. Let's see if I can find here. I'm going to scroll down. I'm not seeing anything. Just looking at here, I haven't seen anything lower than a 4 star. So we'll read a 4 star, just get a little balance. So unbelievably sad that we only have one arc left with Daniel Warren Johnson. George A. Corona and Mike Spencer are staying on board. That'll lessen the blow a bit, I suppose. Yes, because this team has been doing a fantastic job. Hopefully, the rest can pick up the reins and carry on the quality of this book. That's going to be only time's going to tell. I hope so, because this book has been fantastic. If you haven't been reading it, I strongly suggest you do, even if you're not a Transformers fan. It might make you one. Now, this next one, I'm really looking forward to the response from some of my viewers here, some of the fans here, because I get some great Iron Man takes, particularly from one person. So I hope she shows up and gives me her Iron Man take. And that's Iron Man number 6. But the book has a 4.0, very positive rating with 173 ratings on League of Comics Geeks. And I gave the book, I can't believe it, a 7.8. I have not been liking this series, and I've been very upfront with that. The writer is Spencer Ackerman, artist is Julius Ota, which I probably butchered. It says here, Stark Insurgent Prologue, the kickoff of an earth-shattering arc, and a perfect jumping on point. Dr. Doom is emperor of the entire planet. And everyone is not so happy about it, really. Governments and populations all over now know and have to, kneel down to the Sorcerer Supreme, Emperor Dr. Doom. Yeah, even the Earth's Avengers cannot find the evil in his schemes yet to sit there and really do something about it. But Stark isn't just going to sit around. He's going to do something about it. In my thoughts here, well, I can't believe it. I like the art in here. This issue, now this is where we got to be careful though, because Marvel usually will do something like this and they mess it up. This is where I fear this is what's going to happen, because it seems like it always happens with Marvel. This issue has wartime politics, so this is dangerous territory, but it is off to a good start. I'm going to give them that. But and this is also better than the last few story arcs I think we've had of Iron Man, by far, just for the record there. But in my opinion, every time Marvel really dives into political stuff, they find a way to step on their own feet, to put their shoe in their own mouth, to sit there and shove their politics in your face, rather than using it more nuanced and make a good story. We'll see if that will happen here. But let's look at what some other people thought about this book, starting with a good 5-star review. Ackerman, oh my goodness, Ackerman, this is one of the best single 616 issues Marvel has released in a hot second. The way this issue tackles wartime politics and military-industrial industry alongside Tony Stark himself is nothing short of brilliant. All this is really fascinating, and generally real-feeling discussion points are brought up here while still remaining incredibly engaging. Now, I'm not going to go more over that, but I think that was a good point. That's why I think I'm scared that they're going to double down on stupid like Marvel usually does. But let's find some balance here from that high review and look at some negatives with this 2-star review. Why did Tony not immediately stop working with people after they called Doom a mud person? Okay. Another one, 2-star review. Very easy drop for me. Only got it because of the Doom tie-in. Maybe I'll catch up on the MU, but I'm not spending my money on more Iron Man. Ooh, it sounds like they have something against Iron Man. Now, granted, maybe it's because maybe they started reading in the last few runs. I can understand that. Another one, keep Ackerman on this book for the next 15 years. That's a 5-star review. And we'll go to a 4-star review. Very expository, but never a bore. Another good issue. Yeah, it did get a little wordy here. I will get that. It really does. But we'll see. Can Marvel keep this up and not completely screw this up? I want to know your thoughts. Will Marvel end up sticking the landing on this, or will it be your traditional Marvel book where they have to tell you how to think, how to feel, and how, if you are anything that's not far, far left, that you are evil or a Nazi? The next book I want to talk about is been crap.
And that's The Amazing Spider-Man number 69. It makes you want to turn around and leave, that's for sure. It has mixed ratings with a 3.3 out of 213 reviews on League of Comics Geeks, and I gave this book, I'm sorry, it's a 6. This book was crap. Writers Joe Kelly and Ed McGuinness is the penciler. And I don't mind Ed McGuinness, but I'm just not a big fan of him for Spider-Man books. So there is what it is. And we have the 8 Deaths of Spider-Man story continuing. And Spider-Man uses the last of his extra lives in the last one, which led to his true death. And somebody decides to give themselves up to give him life. Big shocker, we all knew Spider-Man wasn't dead. The MacGuffin is here. Clearly, and it's lame. There's decent art, but boy, is this story absolute trash. But let's get some more perspectives here. Let's start with somebody that liked it with a 4-star review. Says, all right, I can't lie. I like this issue a lot. Before I focus on the story, though, I need to compliment the art. Now, I'm going to say art pretty good. Backgrounds aren't that great, though. Ed McGuinness returns for this issue and will also draw the next and final issue of the arc, and his work is just as spectacular as always. I always mention how I'm not an artist, so I can't really go into depth with particulars of this artist's work, and it's no different here, but darn it, McGuinness, his work is top tier. Now I'm going to skip to where he talks about the writing. Now the writing. I'll acknowledge that I wasn't the biggest fan of Kelly taking the reins of Amazing Spider-Man, but he's done so far. This arc largely won me over. Really? How does this crap win you over? That's going to be an interesting thing, but once again, we got to let people have their voice. Of course, I'm still cautiously optimistic for his solo run. This issue isn't huge on story progression, but the character stuff and themes more than make up for it. I don't know about that. I think it's actually quite big on story progression. They brought Peter Parker back to life on this one. So, let's get one that's mid-tier, 3-star. This was fine for me. Cover doesn't actually happen. What else is new? I just mentioned that earlier. A lot of narration boxes and aspects of death still feel a bit contrarian, like they're ideas but don't really flow well with how the story has developed so far or where the story currently is. It's like a lot of magic stuff feels half-baked. Things just kind of happen. Yeah, I agree with there. I'm going to go to another one here. This is a 2-star. This story could have easily been used far more effectively for any other character in Spider-Man. I agree. Really? Nobody else going to support me on that? Okay. Maybe it wasn't good for anybody. Like, the writing is actually good in this one, but there's not one sense of relatability towards this arc and Spider-Man as a whole. You know, he brings up a point there. Also, I was totally right. This MF truly became yet another ex-villain to end the arc. How many times can you repeat the same effing story beat? Sorry about the language, people. Let's go to a 5-star review because this one gets so mixed. Awesome pen, ultimate issue as expected. Every Joe Kelly panel issue of the story is pleasantly surprised. I think they're talking about they put the wrong book in. Whoever wrote this review, it's about the wrong book. All right, let's find another one here. This is a 2-star review. I just thought it was pretty boring and I really can't connect to the stakes. The art was a nice return to the beginning of the series. I'm excited to move on to the next thing. It seems more my speed. And I think a lot of people are agreeing. This just isn't it. Oh, should we look at a 1-star? Oh, this is a 0.5-star review. So this one is going to probably have some people pissed. A 0.5-star review. Absolutely effing dog poop. Woo! And by the way, I'm cleaning this up. Why is there incest in Amazing Spider-Man? Why the F did Calix say he wanted to marry his sister? Why is this the second time there has been some kind of reference to incest, S-H-I-T, by Joe Kelly? Obviously, with that entire MJ feeling a lot more sinister. Yeah, incest. Woo. Yeah, this was the first issue of ASM I picked up since 8 Deaths started because I thought to myself, oh, a tie-in to One World Under Doom. Surely they can't F that up, right? And I was instantly proven wrong. Nice one, ASM editorial. Instantly proved me wrong with this crap. I instantly dropped all intentions of reading Joe Kelly's run that's out next month. After reading this whole SHIT and how and when the F does it fall into One World Under Doom? You all know, can Spider-Man be with the Avengers and Fantastic Four while he's already effing dead in his own series? By the way, the tie-in to Doom is because it has Doom in it. That's how it gets the One World Under Doom. That's the only tie-in is because it has Doom in it. Otherwise, there's actually no story tie in it. F the series, FASM, editorial, F. Nick Lowe, F. Joe Kelly, go read Miles, run on USM instead of literally everything else other than Spouse. So I wouldn't recommend reading the Miles stuff either. I'm sorry. No, thank you. Best part of this is I got this issue for free, so it's not like I actually spent my money on this rubbish. And somebody responded, well, I mean, Calix is a demon. Yeah, so maybe that's why the incest thing is all okay in this one. But woo, there's a lot of hot takes in this one. Not doing this book a lot of good, that's for sure. And the last book I want to talk about today is West Coast Avengers number 5 with a 4.1, very positive rating out of 114 ratings. So yeah, this book's actually holding its own, and I gave the book an 8. Yeah, surprised me too. Writers Jerry Duggan, artist is Danny Kim. And well, we got more of the whole Ultron thing going, but really this one focuses on the Flag Smasher returning as just to hold it together. Yep. So what happens is we have Flag Smasher going to be stopped by the West Coast Avengers, but the really main thing that's carrying the story forward is the Ultron issue. And the other team Avengers is contacting Tony and the West Coast Avengers because they're not so sure about this this Ultron situation. And at the end of the issue, they're coming. So you know what happens then with Marvel. That means there's going to be a fight of Avengers versus West Coast Avengers for a little bit of time next issue. So Flag Smasher versus Ultron and the rest of the teams, a fight I didn't really have on my bingo card today. Blue Bolt shows his care for Firestar as well in battle, as you can see on his face there. It was pretty neat. And then at the end of this, you get to see it even more. It's a pretty good art in this issue too. Firestar opens up about her being an alcoholic and admits that she needs help, and I think that was a nice touch. Blue Bolt changes his name though at the end of the issue to Wonder Man, and Simon Williams is pissed and he's gonna go see him. I was interested to see there, because Mr. Pacifist now, Simon Williams, how he's gonna take to this with him calling himself Wonder Man. And after the Avengers come at the end of the issue here, so for a meetup, so we know there's gonna be a throwdown. Sorry about all the beeps. That's one of the things that happen when you don't edit a whole lot. There things happen in the back sometimes. You probably like hearing my notes and stuff. So let's look at what some of the other people thought about this book, starting with a 4.5 star review. It says, hey, and by the way, so if you haven't noticed, I've been trying to introduce more of these, some more perspectives. Hey, you're listening to Ultron Radio. Thanks for tuning in to 96.8 The Tron. That's a nice start, by the way. It's my favorite thing after reading an issue to put the comic down and realize just how fun it is. Darn, this issue delivered. Yeah, I agree. I think this issue delivered well. And I think it's, something that hopefully can keep up. Another one, which is a 4.5 star review, says, wow, I actually love this issue so much. Blue Bolt is really growing on me the more the series goes on, and him, Angelica, and Jen, we see. And I think it's interesting because he's still a dick. I mean, this guy, Blue Bolt, is clearly a jerk, but they do add a good element here. Now let's look at one that's lower. Let's go with a 3 or 2.5 star. A little shocked by how much of a downgrade the dialogue is in this issue compared with earlier ones. The fight scene had a lot of painfully unclever banter that characters were saying just to have something to say. I do like Blue Bolt more and more though. Interesting, people are gravitating towards this character. Let's go to a 2-star review. I suppose I prefer the answer to what the heck are they doing with this fascist Flag Smasher angle to be mostly nothing. But that's the answer to most things in this book. So now see, I disagree with this person here. Yeah, the Flag Smasher thing didn't have anything to do, but give them something to fight and get keep the book moving slowly and progressing with the main story. Another view is a 2.5 star, finally dropping this. We'll follow the drama on MU and hope it gets better. But I'm done paying money to read fights that are dumb. Okay, I can get that. But let's look at another one that's 5-star. Peak comedy, peak interactions, peak action. So good, man. Angeline, please don't disappear. You are wonderful. And let's end it with a 4-star. Caught me off guard with that Blue Bolt name joke. Good issue. So as you see here, we're getting a little bit of a mixed view, but generally pretty positive. Also, this book has some cool alternate covers as well. And the main cover isn't bad either. But those are the books I've reviewed. What should I check out this week? It's been a little bit of a long one. Wow. They usually aren't this long. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you stuck through. Leave your thoughts in below. And by the way, thank you, for everybody stuck through here. I hope you all have a blessed day and a blessed week. And you know what? If you can, bless some others too as you can. And until next time, keep it frugal.